What if 10x was easier than 2x? Let me show you how. Hi, this is Kevin Senapati-Ratna from Christ Connection. I recently read the book 10x is Easier Than 2x by Benjamin Harding and Dan Sullivan. And I learned some things from it, and I think it might be an encouragement to you. So I'm going to give you 3 big takeaways that I had. And if you stay till the end, I'll give you my final review. So first of all, the big idea is 10x is easier than 2x because it requires you to think differently. You're going to 2x, you just kind of work harder and you push harder, and everyone, maybe your business, everyone, let's just push harder, work harder, and we'll get there. But if you're going to get to 10x, you actually have to think differently about everything. You got to say, okay, it may require a whole different business model. Made for your family, it might require a whole different schedule, whatever it is. To get to 10x is going to require something very different than 2x. So the first and most powerful part of the book probably is the fact that you need to think differently if you're going to get to 10x versus 2x. The second part, and probably the challenging part for me as a Christian in the book, was this talk about focus on want versus need. And there was this whole kind of interchange of if you focus on want versus need, and that requires you to do things differently. Again, doing things differently to get to 10x versus 2x. Now, the language was just a little bit challenging for me with how they were talking about focus on want versus need. But it was an audio book, so I was able to they have the kind of in-between chapters where the 2 authors talk to each other. And Dan Sullivan talked about calling as what you want. And that really helped me think about this in the sense of most people in the Christian faith don't focus on their calling. They focus on someone else's and try to do something that someone else says. And that's really not super helpful. We need to focus on what God has called us to do. That's our assignment, our place. And I talk about that other places, but and it really helped me think about the fact, if you want to go from 10 to 10x, if you really drill down on what God's called you to do and not what other people, someone said, don't be living someone else's life, focus on what God has called you to do, you accelerate at a much faster pace. So rather than want versus need, calling versus need, what is God calling me to do, is a helpful way to think about growing at a 10x pace. The third, and maybe my favorite part of the book, was when he talked about the difference between the gap and the gain. Those of us who like to achieve stuff, get things done, we often focus on the gap, the place from where we are to where we want to be, or where we are to where we feel like God's calling us to. And again, it wasn't a Christian book, but I'm just translating it for us here. So there's that gap, and we kind of get focused on the gap only, what needs to be accomplished versus where we're at, and that gap can be very discouraging. And so he said the importance is to focus on the gain. What's going on in my life? What is God in my terms of being? What's God growing in me? Or just generally, what is the improvement that I'm seeing? I'm working on something. What's it getting better? What's it improving? What is the gains that I'm making, rather, because the idea is then you're going to gain more momentum over time if you realize, oh, I'm making progress, rather than here's the gap between where I am and where I want to be. If I'm improving, I'm making gains, that gives you momentum to go towards that 10x that you're really trying to get to. So those are the 3 big takeaways that I took from the book. Now, there's a lot more in there. And if you're a business owner, definitely has some great principles, practices. If you're looking to improve your own personal life, you've got some great things in there. Overall, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. A lot of the things were familiar to me, maybe because I've just been around the time management world for a long time, but overall a good book, helpful book, especially definitely focus if you're a business owner, great ideas in there for you. So 8 out of 10 would be my score. If you have an idea of something better than just 8 out of 10, or how I could, give me some comments in the comment section to give me some ideas there. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe. We're here to help you grow in your relationship with Jesus. And so until next time, have a great day, and don't forget to pray for your pastor.